What's up YouTube people? Hope you're all doing well. Well, if you're not, this free Madara rig out of nowhere might cheer you up a little. I mean, I hope it will. So, jokes aside, in this video I'll go through the process of modeling and rigging Madara. I'll show you every single step required to get this result in more or less 6 minutes. Alright, I'll break this down into 6 parts. So first let's start with modeling the most important part, and by that I mean the heart. For God's sake, you're back. How's your trip?
Oh man, I
And
loved
mute.
it.
I'm sorry guys, that's very rude, but that's the only way we can get some silence here. So now, modeling the head. So first I placed my references. By the way, I made this myself, but you can find good references on the internet. I made this one because I wanted to have a clean line art because it's crucial for the way I model faces. This method I use here is called polymodeling. I like this method because it allows me to have a shape that's very close to the reference. It's almost like I'm drawing in 3D. This way I can make sure everything is uniform from the get-go. Basically, all I'm doing here is outlining the shape of the head from the front view and the side view. After that, I start adding faces by pressing F. There is not a unique way of doing this, but I find this one easier and it results in a quite good topology later. I learned it from a fellow YouTuber who does it very well. When you're done adding faces and you add a subdivision surface modifier, you get something like this. At this point it looks like a mask, but after you add faces at the back of the head and at the top, you end up with this. It's already looking good and this only takes about 1 hour. If you know what you're doing. Yeah, that's true. Wait, weren't you supposed to be muted? I plugged the mic back in. Okay. For the ears, I modeled them separately and appended them here. And the eyes are just 2 UV spheres that I placed inside the eye sockets. For the eyebrows, I duplicated the vertex and outlined the shape on the reference just as I did for the head. For the sharingan, I cut a small part of the UV sphere and separated it from the rest, so I can rotate it later like this. Cool, right? Then I gave it a sharingan texture that I made on Clip Studio. And I also used the Nemison shader in this setup for the red color, so I can switch from normal to sharingan with a driver. Now, there are things that you don't need to remodel every time you're starting a new project, such as ears, body, teeth, etc. You can model them once and reuse them on your new projects. That's what I did here with the body. I imported it from an old project and then I joined it to the head and adjusted it to match the reference. Now this is not anatomically accurate, but since he's going to have flosses on, it does not really matter. Besides, there are some parts that can even be deleted later to avoid clipping with the glosses, but I'll talk about that later. For the hairs, I just modeled one spike and duplicated it many times to cover entirely the head. Then I tried to match the reference. I adjusted their lengths and widths accordingly. I didn't want the polygon to be too big, so I used a very simple shape. When it comes to modeling glosses, there are 2 ways of modeling them. Or maybe even more. You can either model them from scratch, or you can do it the way I'm about to show you. The simplest way to model glosses in my opinion is by selecting the body parts you want to cover. For example, here I want to make a t-shirt, then you duplicate it, then you separate it from the body. After that you give it a material, whatever color you want, and then you can adjust it manually or you can use the shrink wrap modifier. For this kind of glosses I prefer to adjust it manually, but you can also do it with the shrink wrap modifier. That's why it looks like Madara is wearing his little brother's glosses. For the armor, I just used a plane and modeled it to look like Madara's armor, and I added a subdivision surface modifier and also solidify modifier to give it some thickness. At first I modeled them all as one object by duplicating it in edit mode, but then I separated them into different objects so I could rig them properly. For the materials I used this knot setup. So basically it's composed of 2 toon shaders that I mixed to have more control on the roughness and the specular of the object surface. I did it this way because I wanted to be able to see it in cycles, because the other toon shaders I have are only visible on Eevee render engine. After I was done modeling, I started rigging the character. I used Rigify to help me with that. I placed the meta rig bones accordingly and generated a rig. I parented it with automatic waves and that's it. Would be cool if it was that easy, right? The truth is, Rigify is really good at weight painting, but in my case I had custom objects like the armor and the hairs, and I had a hard time reading them and adding custom shapes. Anyway, after that I added custom bone so I could control the eyes rotation and the activation of the sharingan, and I was done. This is the end of this video. You can find the link of the free rig in the description, and you can also check out my other video to see the animations I made with this model. Anyway, I hope you liked it, and if you want to support my work, don't hesitate to like the video and subscribe so I can keep making this type of content. Peace.